guys. I am live again for the third time this morning. Wow, that was wild. My live a minute ago, there was no chat, and this is how much I love my chat. I was thinking, well, I can do it without a chat. And then I was like, no, that's like a lot of fun. I'd say more than half of the fun. So, anyway, it looks like it's back up and running. If you guys want to just say hello, then I know that you can hear me. That was wild. I'd never seen the screen like that. Like I took up almost the whole screen. I was centered instead of what it normally is over on the right is the chat, and then like the left and the center of the screen is what you guys see. Anyway, it's always something. On with the show. I am just so glad to be here with you guys. It is Friday the 13th, 2023. It's 9:21 a.m. And my goodness, where to begin? I mean, what a week with the preliminary hearing yesterday, or what was that? It was just the arraignment to set up the preliminary hearing at the end of June. So we'll talk about that. I want to talk about Kristen Pfaff from the band Hole, who died allegedly of a heroin overdose in 1994, 2 months after Kurt Kobain died allegedly of a heroin overdose. Um, and I also want to touch on the Kiely Rodni case. I'm really happy to see a lot of people working on Kiely Rodni's case. I know that there's a lot of people doing a lot of good work on that case, and that is priceless to me. As you guys know, the Kiely Rodni case is what got me off my butt to finally start my channel that I'd been talking about for over a year, and that I finally was like, I got to quit talking about it. If I haven't done it yet, I'm not going to be doing it. So checking out the jewelry, earrings my mommy made, necklace I made. This necklace, I just kind of added to it. I added the 3 rings to it, but my sister gave me that one. Hello, Sifa. Good morning. Crime Story Diva. Good morning. I'm new to chat, but I've been watching your lives since Kiely Rodni. Oh, that's really sweet. Love your channel. Hey, Brenda. Great to see you too. I'll go ahead and pin a message and get started with this. So yeah, Sifa, I was looking at your 1 hour thing of the Ted Bundy files this morning as I was getting all set up. And man, does the Nothing Burger, the criminal defendant in Moscow, look so much like Ted Bundy? Is that just like beyond doppelganger? By the way, earlier you said something about collaboration, and I wasn't sure if you meant with me or someone else. Yes, I was speaking to you in your chat. Were you talking to me when you asked if I wanted help with the Kristen Pfaff, Mia Zapata, and Stefanie Sargent and Kurt Kobain? Um, I like to call it the trio, but really with Kurt in there, it's a quadruple, which is interesting since we're looking at a quadruple homicide over there in Idaho. So yes, I thought when you made a comment, I thought that comment was directed to me about if I wanted help, and I would love help on that case if you're interested. If anybody's interested, it's fascinating. It is truly fascinating. I have a special interest for a few reasons. Oh, cool, Sifa. Um, yeah, happily collab if you want to. I can probably get hold of some documents. Nice. So yes, I don't think we've emailed each other. So if you want to shoot me an email at justiceatooz@gmail.com, then if you shoot me an email, I'll have your email and we can get started. That would be awesome. I have such a special interest in that, in those 4 deaths that are all, well, one of them was definitely a homicide. That was Mia Zapata. The other 3 were alleged heroin overdoses. Stefanie Sargent was in 92. She was in the band 7 Year Bitch. These are all grunge bands in Seattle. So Mia Zapata was 93, and that was a brutal, brutal assault. And then we have 94, Kurt Kobain. died allegedly of a massive heroin overdose. And then 2 months later, Kristen Pfaff from the band Hole died also of a pretty massive overdose, allegedly. So, so yeah, that was all in 2 years. It was all like in the same square mile up there on Capitol Hill, and they were all processed through the same coroner in the Seattle Police Department. So there's a lot there, and yeah. I just discovered this new channel. Did I write it down? I probably did not write down the name of it. It was Mind something. I can't believe myself. Why did I not write that down? Um, anyway, I'll put it in the comments. Mindscape. I think it was Mindscape. If anybody wants to Google Mindscape and see. And just 3 days ago, she did um, a 1 hour video on Kristin Pfaff. So that was super exciting to me, because I think that that poor girl deserves some justice. I think that Stefanie Sargent deserves justice. I think Kurt Kobain deserves justice. And Mia Zapata, I don't know if she's had justice or not. I mean, somebody went to jail for her homicide and he died of COVID 2 years ago. But who knows if he wasn't put up to what he did? Who knows if he wasn't a hired hit? Thank you, Sky Z. Mind Shock. Let me highlight that. So I only just found the channel this morning, and Sky Z says it's their favorite channel. Yeah, I was super impressed, and I was like, how come I've never seen this channel? Why doesn't YouTube like give me the channels that I want rather than all these stupid channels that I don't want? Um, and let's see. By the way, okay, so we got that one. Very cool. We have emailed before. Okay, so cool. Excellent. Thank you, Sifa. Mind Shock channel has vids on Kristen. Yes, very interesting. Yeah, absolutely fascinating. So for anyone who doesn't know Mind Shock, it looks like a pretty big channel and it's been around for a while. It has like 20,000 subs, and it looks like they cover a lot of cases. And just in the last couple of days, they've covered a lot of cases. Just woke up, in case that's not the channel you meant. LOL. You're good. Excellent. Well, so exciting to see you guys here, and thank you so much. That was wild when I tried to start my live a minute ago and didn't have the chat. I've never seen it like that. I didn't know if you can even disable chat. Not that I would want to, but I was just like, man, I'm not having this. I'm just going to end this stream and restart so I can see what my people are talking about over here. So thanks for coming. Thanks for sharing. Please hit that like button if you'd be so kind. Hit the thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already and would like to, and sharing videos is awesome. It's doing a huge favor for the content creator. Sharing videos is the most important part, second only to watching the videos. So thank you for being here. Thank you for watching. YouTube's been having a lot of issues lately with glitches, etc. Well, Sifa, I thought it was just channels that were covering Ms. Kiely Rodni's case. I mean, it's unbelievable, you guys. If you watch videos of people covering Ms. Kiely Rodni's case, the live stream will just like go blank, will freeze up, the chat will drop off. It's crazy. It is super crazy. So, no, it's expanded now to Idaho 4 coverage. So, Sifa, you're going to have your freaking mind blown. I hope we will all have our mind blown. And hold on, this is saying that my computer battery is low because somehow the damn plug came out. Okay, we're good. Dang, it's always something. It's crazy. I had it plugged in. I have no idea how it came out. Okay. Right before I started, I was looking at the map of the state of Idaho. Because honestly, I mean, really, Idaho is one of those places like Nebraska and Kansas and Iowa. And some people throw Ohio in there too. It's one of those places that just kind of gets lost in the Midwest. And I know my country pretty well. I've been in almost every single state of the continental and the additional non-continental US. I've been to Alaska 3 times. I've been to Hawaii a couple of times. I've been coast to coast. I mean, literally all the way up to Maine, down to Florida, California, Washington State, and almost every single state in between. I mean, I've been very fortunate. I haven't had a lot of travel outside of our country, but I've had a ton of travel within our country. So I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful to know these places. And I'm just going to be straight up. I don't freaking know anything about Idaho except for this case, honestly. Even though it's right next to Washington State, and I'd been to Pullman and Spokane a few times, and Yakima and other places in Eastern Washington. And I obviously have driven through Idaho because I've driven on Highway 90 to and from Washington State, to and from Ohio. So I didn't realize, you guys, this is hilarious, that Idaho goes all the way up to the Canadian border. I literally didn't realize that until I looked at the map right before I came on. That is mind-boggling to me. I mean, I love maps and I love our country, and I'm constantly studying the states in our country. So, holy moly. Miss Amir Zaza, hello, Justice Warriors. So yeah, YouTube's been having a lot of glitches. And you know what? My phone is listening to me because as we're doing this, oh, here we go. Sorry. As we are doing this, my phone is like sending me messages about YouTube. Man, it's so spooky how it all works. And I got to tell you too, when I was watching some videos as I was setting up, the Alexa was responding to the videos, and I think she thought that I needed a team of people that starts with an S and ends with a T and has a W and an A in the middle of it because of things that I was watching on YouTube. I was like, no, no, we're good. We can stop talking now. Then she started asking me what my freaking hobbies were. She'd been talking to Lindsay Neiman or something. I mean, I was just like, stop. I'm not talking to you. So yeah, I don't like computers for these reasons. So anyway, let me get a little focused here. And she better stay out of this conversation. I've been to Idaho a few times and I live in Utah currently, so I know some things of Idaho, but I'm definitely not an expert on it. But there are some similarities with the culture between Utah and Idaho. They're both very conservative, um, extremely conservative. And so I've known, I mean, Idaho has a bad rap for lack of diversity, shall we say, to put it politely. I didn't know the whole thing with the libertarian population, and there's strange laws there. Like, for instance, that the criminal defendant wasn't cuffed yesterday when he's a homicidal maniac and he was in prison garb and he had his feet shackled, but he didn't have his freaking hands. I mean, if he's as crazy as it looks, allegedly, if he's guilty of the crimes he's being charged with, in any other state, I'm pretty sure his hands would have been shackled as well. Am I wrong? I don't know. I mean, I know they try to make criminal defendants look more like normal people rather than criminals during their hearings, just to be fair and just. But when someone's dangerous, you can't take a chance. So I thought that was really weird. And I was thinking, is that just because it's Idaho? And did he choose his crimes to commit in Idaho because of the laws? But let me get to what my point was, and then I'll read more of your comments. Right before I came on, when I was looking at the map of Idaho and realizing that it goes all the way up to Canada, I was looking to see exactly where the Nez Perce National Park is, because it looked like on the GPS that that's where he drove to the evening after the quadruple uh, murders occurred. So November 13th, from, if my memory is serving me correctly, from about 5 o'clock until 8 p.m., he was over there at or near the Nez Perce National Park. He turned his phone off for 3 hours. And so there's been speculation from a few channels, mine included, that maybe he discarded some or destroyed some of the evidence there. And all of a sudden it hit me, another national park. Again, I mean, he's studying um, criminology, and if you're going to commit a crime, doing it in a national park is ideal as far as jurisdiction. It falls out of everyone's jurisdiction. As far as I know, it's not really anybody's jurisdiction except the National Park Bureau of Investigations that actually exists, but you never hear about it. Like, I don't understand. So, in all of these cases that we've followed that have occurred in the national parks, and they all do, the ones that I've been following, um, the FBI gets involved, the county sheriff is usually the lead, which why would the county sheriff be the lead if it's a national park and they have their own little national park FBI, and then they've also got the regular FBI? I don't understand. So if anybody has a better understanding of that, please share. It's something I'm going to look into. I'm going to be researching. But anyway, I thought, holy crap, did this guy destroy evidence in a national park? Is that, as a criminal, that's pretty freaking brilliant. I mean, I think if he's guilty of what he did, he's an absolute moron. Um, I hate to use the word brilliant with such an awful, awful allegation or list of allegations. Okay. So Utah and Idaho, and I know they're both such beautiful states. My goodness, the natural surroundings couldn't be more magnificent. I live near Idaho, but never spent much time there. Idaho had a bad reputation back in the day, right, for having a lot of white supremacists. Not sure if that still applies today. I'm pretty sure it still applies today as much as it ever has, Skyzy, to my knowledge. Um, I remember there was a big standoff with some crazy guy whose name I can't remember. And then there was also the Unabomber that was in Idaho. So it's kind of known for these radical libertarian types that like to have standoffs and SWAT teams. But let's talk about the SWAT team in Pullman that was just shortly after the incident with the multiple homicides in Moscow, because I've been to Pullman a few times and I lived in Washington. And honestly, I hadn't really thought about this because I don't like to be negative. In my experience, Washington State University and Pullman are not the coolest. It's not the coolest university. It's not the coolest place. And this guy being a doctoral candidate there, and then the SWAT team incident happening there, right, pretty much hand in hand, not good for that university that already has far from a stellar reputation. Um, and I just wanted to bring that up because, like I said, I've been super nice about it. I've never said anything derogatory about uh, Pullman or uh, Washington State University. But I'll tell you guys, I'll tell you one of my personal experiences, and this is very unique because I played soccer for the Evergreen State College. And for whatever reason, we played against Washington State University. Evergreen State College is tiny. Washington State University is a lot bigger. So they were going to beat our butts, and they did. And they beat us badly, like probably like 10-0. And never, ever, ever have I seen girls on the soccer field wearing lipstick and ribbons in their hair. These girls at Wazoo, as it's called, Washington State University, Wazoo, they all had matching freaking ribbons in their hair. Like, remember that movie Heathers? Remember the ribbons in their hair? They all had bright red lipstick, and their school colors are like red and white or gray and red or something like that. Maybe red, gray, and white. Anyway, they were evil and they were like seriously trying to injure us. And they did. They gave me a concussion when the ball wasn't even near me. That's Washington State University. And it hadn't really clicked in my head because I try not to be judgmental, I try not to be negative, and that was 30 years ago. It was 30 years ago. 32 years ago, probably to be exact. And I've never had a concussion in my life except from the itchy bays at Wazoo. I don't want to say the B word because that's a bad one. I'd rather say the F word, drop the F bomb than say the B word. Anyway, they were insane. They were crazy. And Wazoo is known for being like that. Basically, a bunch of freaking brutes. So then you've got the SWAT team, you've got this guy with his PhD candidacy massacring people in Moscow, allegedly. And Moscow is much cooler than Wazoo. You know, I had brought them up as far as how they were both conservative schools and conservative towns compared to Western Washington, which is all pretty different than Eastern Washington. And Evergreen State College in Olympia, Washington is pretty radical, I guess you'd say, pretty liberal. It's a liberal arts, even though it's a state college. So Pullman has a bad reputation, people. And then to have this guy who only just moved there this last year. So I don't want to miss all your comments, but let me say this before I read some of the comments so I don't forget, because I don't think I have this written down, but maybe I do. The Inside Looking Facebook profile or social media profile, that Inside Looking profile seems to be the criminal defendant just as much as the Papa Roger one, right? I'm wondering if he actually went inside looking to the 1122 King Avenue home in the 12 times that he visited, that his GPS was right there at the address. I'm wondering if he snuck in the house and was watching these people from closets and such, because of the name Inside Looking, and if you've seen the profile picture, it's a little eye peeping, and it definitely looks like him with the big bump in the nose and the bushy eyebrow and all that. But whoever did those brutal, awful, evil homicides was very comfortable in that house. It's hard to believe that somebody may have gotten in that house, done those crimes, and gotten out of that house in 9 minutes potentially, unless they knew the house well. So I wanted to bring that up. Let me get to a bunch of these comments that I've missed, and let's see. Sifa, oh my God, was probably talking to Lindsay. That's so funny. Yeah, my Alexa. Wait, see, I don't even like to say her name because then she gets all like in my business. You would think over the years people would have learned to keep defendants cuffed in the courtroom. It's for everyone's safety. Exactly. And they do. They do. I think maybe just Idaho. I don't know. You guys share with me if you have any experience or ideas about that. During the Vallow Daybell case, there was that worry before the kids were found that maybe when they went to Yellowstone, that's when they went missing. Thank God that wasn't the case. And see, that's another case I just have so much trouble following because of the children. People hurting children is just absolutely gut-wrenching. I'm going to go ahead and highlight that one too, Sifa, and try to get caught up to where you guys are at in the chat. I hope they have more evidence. They're not saying his lawyers pretty much can fight everything. The phone pings, a phone pings within a 20-mile around a tower, etc. I hope they have more evidence. Annie Ruler dressed like fake SoCal girls, dressed like fake Southern California girls. I'm not sure what you're referring to. Who was dressed like Southern California girl style? Annie Ruler. That's still traumatizing to an extent, though. I'm sorry that that happened to you. Oh, are you talking about the concussion from the itch bays on the Wazoo team? So let's see. Western Washington. Oh, I wanted to share with people that University of Washington is called UW, and people have been bringing up the University of Washington because Ted Bundy I think he took classes there for a while. He definitely hung out at the campus, probably was a student there. I'd have to review his educational history again. But that's the University of Washington, and people call it UW. And when I lived out there in Western Washington, it took me a long time to understand what people meant when they said UW. It's just short for UW. And then Wazoo is called Wazoo because of the initials WSU, but because it's a freaking zoo. That's why it's called Wazoo, is more because of the freaking animals that go to school there. Not kidding. That's why it's called Wazoo all across the state. It's not so much the initials, it's the reputation. So I just had to get that off my chest. Okay. Yeah, it was messed up. I mean, a concussion, it was a mild concussion. So I hopefully don't have any lifelong effects from it. And I mean, it was just stupid. And their lipstick and hair ribbons was more traumatizing than the concussion. Because when you're playing soccer at a college level, I mean, these are like professional athletes. It's just like, why are you wearing your freaking lipstick? And I'm going to bet you they had their pancake makeup on too. Like, just completely nuts. Need the murder weapon, which he probably got rid of when he went on his road trip. You know, I heard somebody, I think it was the lawyer, on a news channel. What happened? Dang it. Okay, we're good. It just like it went to a different screen. Man, I gotta just like take it easy. The murder weapon, when he got rid of it on the road trip. So the lawyer, he has his own channel, and he was on this news show yesterday, and he was saying, um, man, that's so stupid. What had just happened? He was saying that he thinks that it's very likely that the defendant hid the murder weapon at one of these state parks or somewhere, that he hid it because he thought that he could go back to it because he didn't think he'd get caught. And it was his trophy. I thought that was a very interesting, fascinating idea. And if he is guilty, and if he's found guilty in a court of law, obviously he'll never get to go retrieve it. But he might be able, and who knows how far ahead he was thinking, he might be able to give the authorities the information of where he hid it as leverage to get the death penalty taken off the table. Maybe, I don't know. I'm not a lawyer. Okay, let's see. Yeah, they do. It would be nice to have that murder weapon. I don't like sports, only watch cricket. They were mean girls. Yeah. Yeah. And Heathers, if you haven't seen Heathers, I mean, that was like the original Mean Girls type of movie. Um, yeah, the YouTube is just doing some weird stuff. I think what they're doing is they're making all these changes or improvements, and it's not an improvement when it messes with you. So let's see. Some profile says a tarp will be easier to find than the knife. Well, see, I'm thinking that he might have burned everything when he went to Albertsons. Hopefully they'll be able to pull the surveillance camera of him in the Albertsons and see what he bought. And I'm thinking he probably bought stuff to make a fire, and that he burned everything somewhere out in the wilderness. So, I mean, it'd be hard to find the remnants, especially over time. They would just, and then especially if he buried the ashes, which any half intelligent person would. Rhonda or Nancy Grace is getting hate for her picture she took outside the house where the four, I love Nancy Grace. I mean, she's abrasive, but she has good reason. For anybody who doesn't know, Nancy Grace's fiance was murdered when she was in her 20s. That's why she's so angry and passionate about what she does. So she's I don't know if she's still married, but she married someone else. They had kids. I think she at least had a set of twins that are probably like 15 or so by now. I'm not sure. Um, and I don't know what that's about. Rhonda with the white table. I wonder if he was the one calling in the noise complaints. Yeah, right, so that he could get to see the body cams of these things. I mean, who knows? Nancy is getting hate for sure. They don't want her there. Well, she'll get to the bottom of it, whatever it is. Like I said, I love Nancy Grace. I always have, even before I knew her story. I mean, yeah, she's very acerbic, I guess is a good way to say it. She's definitely not the warm fuzzy type. But then once I heard her story, I'm like, well, no wonder. My goodness, that's crazy. That's absolutely crazy. Um, so let's see. We're just at half an hour. Let me get caught up with you guys on the. I'm almost caught up, and then go through my notes and get to the end of the live so that there's time between this live and the afternoon live because I'm really enjoying the two shorter lives. I like this idea. So again, I'm open to feedback. Let me know what you guys think. You know what's awful? They still haven't released the bodies of JJ Vallow or Kiely Rodni to the grandparents or even buried them yet. It breaks my heart for the grandparents of JJ. That is awful, but at the same time, like that's how I would hope that they would handle um, the corpses of homicides. That I don't understand when the bodies are like cremated, like in Kiely Rodni's case. Like that's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. I mean, they didn't rule her death a homicide, as we know, but when it's questionable, when the case is still open, I think that it's really creepy. I mean, even if they returned the remains to the families and they were buried, they could still be exhumed if need be. And I mean, that's an awful thing to happen, but sometimes it has to happen. He seemed really confident yesterday. Didn't look like he was worried about anything. Rhonda R., I'd like to make a comment about that too. I thought he did a good job of looking like I mentioned it yesterday, looking just baffled and kind of childlike and kind of um, curious. Like, what's going on, people? Am I in trouble? That was what I thought the look on his face was. Did I do something bad? Am I in trouble? I mean, uh, yeah, he didn't really reveal those Charles Manson eyes that he revealed so well on the body cam footage in one of the traffic stops. I think it was the second traffic stop when his dad starts talking about him being a student at the University of Washington, or sorry, Washington State University, and that they're headed to the Poconos Hills of or mountains of Pennsylvania, and his eyes, he's like looking at his dad like his dad's his next murder victim right there in front of the law enforcement. He didn't do those eyes in the court, did he? I mean, I saw like one or two looks where he didn't look so harmless, but yeah, for the most part, he put on this total persona. These people, if he's guilty, these people are shapeshifters. I'm not kidding you. That's how I think of them because you see their faces are almost like they're made of wax, like the way they can like form and do weird things and look so different. Oh no, I'm late. Pixie Knicker says I'm late. I'm late for a very important date. Okay. I love Nancy writes to you ain't got to guess what she's thinking. Yes, Nancy Grace. What do you think about the DoorDash for Xana? Yeah, I'm so curious about the DoorDash for Xana. It seems like it was I want to give credit to I think it was Crime Circus Drip Drop where I got the idea that it was maybe the perp had made like a fake DoorDash delivery request. So when the DoorDash came, I mean earlier I had thought that that DoorDash was for Xana and that probably threw off the perp having a DoorDash delivery at 4 in the morning when he's trying to get in there to wreak havoc. But when Drip Drop said that in his video a couple of days ago, I thought, wow, that is highly likely, especially if what it sounds like is true that the bag of food was just sitting on the counter untouched with the drink. But it is hard to say. I mean, there's so many pieces of the story that we don't have. Like, I really think everything that Dylan reported that she heard as far as the words of "someone's here" and "don't worry, I'll help you," I really think that she might have misconstrued words that were not actual words. Um, so it's hard to say how things went down, and maybe Xana did order the food, and maybe Xana did not have a chance to eat her food. It's hard to say. So I think that that DoorDash was either a monkey wrench or it was part of the plan. Very likely one of those two. I remember when Nancy Grace covered Casey Anthony, that was done before they even got the results back. Um, right, with the, I think Sifa, you're talking about, Kiely Rodni case. So I apologize for trying to talk about so many cases in a short or live. But like I said, let me finish up with getting caught up on you guys and then get to some of my notes here real quick. I got to meet Nancy Grace in Salida, Colorado last year when she came to a vigil for Suzanne Morphew. She is seriously the sweetest, most genuine person. Oh, that is really cool. That's great that she went to a vigil for Suzanne Morphew. Like, that woman still needs justice. Holy smokes. I wonder how much his dad knows. Maybe his daddy was the getaway driver. Who knows? Yeah, I'm curious if they can see inside the car, inside that white Elantra in any of the surveillance videos from that night, if they can see if there could possibly have been another person in there. But even if they can't see another person in there, that doesn't mean that another person wasn't like laying low. Um, you just don't know. Although law enforcement has said specifically, I think, that they are not expecting any other arrests in relationship to the Moscow Four. But, sometimes they say things to throw people off. So who knows? Yeah. Let me highlight that one real quick, Rhonda. It's a very good idea there. They are supposed to hold the bodies. Heather Mosier says, well, yeah, that would make sense, right? They should have a receipt with it or either be able to trace back the order and see who actually paid for it. If he paid for it, then he's going to be in an even worse spot. Good point, Sifa. That's a brilliant, brilliant point. Man, I like the way your brain works. I know. What does this last comment of yours say? I know they are supposed to hold the bodies, but it's sick to me that Lori Vallow has drawn things out this long and not let them rest because she's selfish. Those two, Lori and Chad Daybell, oh my goodness. Like, maybe the only people that could possibly be sicker than the person who committed this mass homicide at the residence of 1122 King Road in Moscow 2 months ago. Oh, it's 2 months to the day, you guys, being January 13th. It's 2 months to the day of the quadruple homicide. That's got to be really hard on the families. Just when you realize things like that, when you put things together. And yeah, being probably the first Friday the 13th since then, if they have any superstition about Friday the 13th being a unlucky day. Like I said, I honestly think that 13 and Friday the 13th can be lucky for some people if they are indeed unlucky for so many others. Um, let's see. I'm not saying he stabbed anyone, but waited for his son. Just weird how they were road tripping. Right, Rhonda. But I think that there's probably a plane ticket receipt from the dad flying out. I thought that it was like December 13th, but I could be inaccurate there. I'd have to look and find the receipt. Grizzly's last live, she read a document which stated co-defendant. Wonder what that means legally. So, Mrs. Zaza, I haven't seen that, but yesterday, the lawyer that you know is the name of this guy's channel. He was speaking to that, maybe that same document where he said that that's just how it's written. across the boards, and that's just to leave an open door in case, but that it didn't mean anything specific for this case, in his opinion. If it's the same document, I'm not sure. But that's a really good channel, that guy. If you don't know the lawyer, he's an attorney in Tampa, Florida. And so he was on, I think it was the Florida Channel 8 News. They have like a major YouTube live stream crazy chat going, like, I don't know, 12 hours a day or something, 24 hours a day. It's pretty intense, but it is good. I tune into it sometimes. Let's see, where are we at? Let me highlight that last one about Grizzly's last live. Yeah, she does really good work. I think he asked, was anybody else arrested a part of his plan? I think that was to throw people off too. He's not the first criminal defendant to do that. You guys hear about the 21-year-old decapitated his wife. They were married 3 months. He admitted to doing it right away. No, I have not heard about this. I've heard, do you want to state where that was, Rhonda, and when? Is that something that's just come out in the last day or so? Pixie Knickers, I've heard of Lori and Chad Daybell, but I don't know what they did. I'll have to look that up. You don't want to look it up, Pixie Knickers. They allegedly killed her 2 children. Really, really, really sad, really sickening. And they're just monsters. They're just completely horrible, heinous, sick individuals. Yes, the lawyer, I started watching him when he did Depp versus Heard trial. Okay, so I'm going to look at some of my notes, you guys. I have a couple of pages that I wanted to share, and we're at 42 minutes, so I'm going to try to kind of speed through them and then wrap up, so that, like I said, there's a nice gap between the morning live and the afternoon live. So they have 5 days set for just the preliminary hearing in the end of June. I'm sure everybody knows that. But I think they said June 26th to the 30th. And that's only the preliminary hearing. That's only to lay out. That is not the trial. That is just to lay out the evidence for the trial. So I already said this, but I want to say it again. The inside looking profile, was he inside their home on any of those 12 visits to the area, the 12 previous weekends? And wasn't each time that he visited the same, like late Saturday night, early Sunday morning, pretty much? So he was watching to see, most likely watching to study their habits, and maybe it could have been any of those other 12 visits, but it didn't pan out. And maybe it could have been a visit after the one where it happened, if that hadn't panned out for whatever reason. So let me talk about the Kiely Rodni case for a minute, because our 22 cents and the CNY family and Squirrels on Fire and Kevin Neese and some others are really kicking up the dirt on the Kiely Rodni case. And I love that they're doing that. And I just remembered yesterday about Sammy, Yosemite Sammy's words, that when she was interviewing, I think with Tony Dodge, and she said this weird thing about how she couldn't wait to see Kiely, that the first thing she was going to do was tackle her. Do you guys remember that? And I think for a lot of us that followed the Watts horrible homicide, that it really raised a flag in memory of Chris Watts saying that about the little girls, that he couldn't wait to see them in his infamous porch interview. He couldn't wait to tackle them. And he's talking about them throwing chicken nuggets at him and how much he misses them throwing chicken nuggets at him. Like, just weird stuff. These people are crazy, crazy, crazy. So let's see. In relationship to the Kiely Rodni case or any kind of cover up, if people have dirt on other people, which people often do have dirt on other people, those people will be protected. The people that have the dirt will be protected by the people that they have the dirt on. You follow? So, when there's big money, big industry, it's just the way it goes. It's just common procedure basically. So I'm saying that in reference to Truckee and what Ms. Kiely Rodni may have had some dirt. You basically are either going to be protected or unalived if you've got dirt on real powerful people, and those real powerful people want to keep it secret. They will either protect you or unalive you. It's one or the other. And so with the teens in Truckee, I wonder, so some of those teens that may have had dirt on the community, on the elders in the community, if there was crazy stuff going on over the years, that some of those teens would be protected and some of those teens might be quite the opposite. Um, so let's see. Yeah, satellite footage is huge, you guys. I wanted to say something about satellite footage because we know about like the fire cam, but there's the eye in the sky that people never talk about. And people don't talk about it because some people don't know that it's there. And then the people who do know that it's there don't want to sound like crazy conspiracy theorists. But there are satellites that are looking at things and they can get super close up. We all know that. Even those of us that are not military and don't have access to that kind of privileged confidential information. Um, but remember that satellite footage is going to be used in cases like this with the Idaho 4, where they can go to that eye in the sky and they can watch the suspect driving and they can watch him perhaps making a fire and they can zoom in, they can get really close. But when they have that footage, they don't like to admit that they have that footage and they like to kind of go old school and just then say, well, here we found the charcoal, we found the remnants of the tarp or the knife or whatever. They don't so much talk about the satellite imagery in court. They just go back to the old school basics. But I have a feeling that we're going to be getting more of that soon, and maybe as soon as in this case. Who knows? The other thing I think is so curious is why did the father and the son, when they're driving cross country from Pullman to Pennsylvania, why did they drop down through Colorado and take 70 across? Why didn't they take 80 or 90 across? 80 probably would have been the most direct route, but going down on 70 added like 8 extra hours to their trip. And that's a long trip. That's like a 30 some hour trip. So it added another 25% or something of time. Um, so yeah, the satellite footage, and let's see. Somewhere in Texas, yes, it just happened 3 days ago. Thank you, Rhonda. Thanks for that follow-up. Oh, that's insane. People need to stop hurting people. The girl was working 2 jobs to send her mom money for cancer treatments. That is awful. Oh, Peter is the name of the lawyer, Well, we must compliment him on his fine looks with his scruffy beard and his long hair and his intelligent conversation. Kylie's mom was financially strapped. I'm pretty sure she kept the GoFundMe money. Yeah, there was, they say follow the money, follow the money, follow the money. Um, this Moscow 4 case does not look like a case where you would follow the money necessarily, but I'm wondering if the criminal defendant, if he's guilty, if he may have had a plan of using this, say, as like book research. So then he could write a story about the events and make it a bestseller, because he would have so much of this inside knowledge from having actually done it. So he might have been financially motivated too, is my point, because it seems like every single case, all you got to do is follow the money and you'll get to the truth. Let's see, Truckee Chucky getting slammed with snow. Well, that's their bread and butter right there. I mean, that's you know, that's like pennies from heaven, or $100 bills from heaven. Satellite and a relative of missing child had a truck of 4 people go into the woods. 3 come back. Dead sister found later. What state was that, Annie Ruler? Because yeah, they don't use the satellite image information in court too much. So I'd be really curious if you can share more about that. And let's go ahead and get this one wrapped up, because we are approaching an hour, and I'll save the rest of my notes for the afternoon one. They're notes about the Kristin Pfaff, and I'll touch on it a little bit. Someone said CD was gonna go to Mexico and his dad talked him out of it. Oh, the criminal defendant? That's fascinating. That is super fascinating, if they were having that conversation while they were driving, and so that's why they drove south. I would think, though, somebody saying that's such speculatory hearsay. So just to keep that in mind, that's a possibility. That's just one possibility, unless we have more solid information about that. Nevada County is about to get slammed with something more than just snow in about 20 minutes. Oops. What? Do you see the smile on my face, Sifa, and everybody else? Like, that brings me such great joy. Are you saying that something's about to happen in 20 minutes in Nevada County? How cool would that be? Would that be related to all of this with the investigation of the investigation? That might not be true, though, right? It's only speculation. My brother knew this couple. Daughter was murdered by 3 teen boys years ago. One of the boys was at their wedding anniversary, and a book he wrote about murdering a girl. Oh, Sifa's video in 18 minutes. Thank you, Sifa. Perfect timing. So we can wrap this up and then we can hop on over to Sifa's video. Thank you. That's exciting. That's super exciting. I want to see you slam them hard. So let me go over some of my notes about the thing with Kristin Pfaff, and where it gets so confusing. So the people that were like the last to see her alive and the first one to find her, one of those person's name is Paul Erickson. The other person's name is Eric Erlison, I think. I'll have to look at the spelling of it, but it's very confusing. So Paul Erickson and then Eric Erlinson. So Eric Erlinson had been her boyfriend, had been her dealer, and he was the last one to see her alive. And then Paul Erickson was the one who found her. So just to delineate that. And like I said, we'll get more back into the depth of this afternoon. Also with Kristin Pfaff, something that I didn't know that I just caught in the mind, what was it? Mindscape, Mind Scene, Mind Game, Mind Plan. What was that channel, you guys? Somebody said it at the beginning. So the one that she did 3 days ago, and I'd heard this, but I forgot that there were multiple pages missing from Kristin Pfaff's diary that her parents said that she wrote in her journal every night before she fell asleep. And that the dates that were missing were the pages from when Kurt Kobain was missing. So there's a lot of speculation that there was a thing between Kristin Pfaff and Kurt Kobain, that he had bought 2 plane tickets to Atlanta for himself and a female passenger. And, they were both quitting their bands she was moving back to Minneapolis. I don't know that he was planning on moving, but he was getting a divorce. We know that. There's always been speculation about a thing between the two of them. And I just have a feeling that those speculations are going to come into fruition. I just have a feeling that there's more than just me looking back at these cases. And when I say these cases, I'm adding in Stefanie Sargent from 1992, Mia Zapata from 1993, and then Kristen Pfaff was 1994, and they were all right around the same time of year, like late June, early July. So 3 years in a row. And then Kurt Kobain, his death was April of 94. Is that right? So April, May, June. Yeah, his death was 2 months before Kristen Pfaff. So Kurt Cobain died with like a mass amount of heroin in his system, like many times over what it would take to overdose and die. And Kristin Pfaff died with triple the amount of what it would take to overdose and die. So we'll talk more about it this afternoon. I'm going to read the last few of these, and let's see. I think where Summer went missing, Annie Ruler says, okay, yeah, that is another horrible, horrible case that she's just too little for me to be able to deal with paying too close of attention to it. That might not be true though, right? It's only speculation. My brother knew this couple. Okay, I read that one. Oh, where are we? I thought that there were a bunch of these I hadn't read, but I think I'm pretty well caught up. I've been texting Trinity's father. That's all I'll say on that. And that is fascinating to me. I saw that in your chat in the earlier thing this morning. Absolutely fascinating. I'm really curious about Trinity's mother and the mother's ex-husband, who happens to be a deputy for the Nevada County Sheriff's Department. I'm super curious where Trinity and her mother were living at the time of this. So I don't know if you have that information. I don't know if the mom and the ex-husband were maybe like on and off again. I don't know. Anyway, so we'll wrap it, say goodbye for now, and then get back together, reconvene later around 1:30. Kurt had so much heroin in him, I don't see how he could have shot himself. Right. He would have been asleep or already deceased. Absolutely. And just the whole thing with the shotgun and all of that it doesn't add up. and then Rhonda says, okay, I'm going to stop typing because she was having some trouble. Rhonda, what is the book title? Did law enforcement know about the book? You think it was him as killer? And Sifa says, oh, yes, Christopher. Oh, right. Christopher is the ex-husband, right? That's Stanion. Christopher Stanion is Trinity Backus's ex-stepdad. So I'm super curious if her mother, her biological mom, and Christopher Stanion were on again, off again. I just kind of had that feeling. And yeah, he shouldn't have been involved in the search for Trinity, but I'm pretty sure that he was involved in the search for Trinity. Like I know he was involved in the search for Kiely, Christopher Stanion, Deputy Christopher Stanion. So yeah, that is where satellite murder was solved. Okay. And let's see. And Sifa, I'm real excited to see what you've got on your show in a few minutes here. And hey, Susan, I see you're very late. That's no problem, but we are signing off. I recommend for everybody who's interested to go over to Sifa's channel. And I think he's doing a live on the Trinity Backus autopsy. Is that accurate? So Dilly Owen says adios. It was a transcript for a book. No, it never was published. He went to prison. Oh, goodness gracious. All right, you guys. So have a really good productive Friday, TGI Friday. I hope that you can get the rest and the relaxation that you need. I hope that you can get exercise that you need and eat well and stay hydrated, get your protein, and most importantly, get all of your fruits and veggies. 5 minimum servings per day of fruits and vegetables for adults, but really that's absolute bare minimum. It's more like twice that is what you should have each day. Let's see. Autopsy report update. Okay, cool. All right, you guys. I'm going to say peace out as I read the last few of this. They killed a girl for her car and like $35. Oh my goodness. Have a blessed day, everyone in chat. Yes, I will see you later this afternoon. Sending you light and love, and I appreciate your being here so much. I hope to see you guys over in Sifa's chat. All right.